And I'm excited to see Alan on here because he and I
So I do see a number of people have been putting their names in the chat. So I see we've got, my name's Jay Nelson Weaver. I am Vice Chair of the Continuum of Care. I work at Family Services. We run the largest domestic violence shelter in town. I also live in the South Ward. So Ms. Joyner, I'm excited that you're my council person. I voted for you. Thank you so much. And I see a number of people are popping in. Put your names in the chat. Everyone who wants to say hello, please, thank you. You can say who you are and where you work, what your interest is in serving our homeless neighbors while you're on this commission. Anyone can share some nuts and bolts kind of details.
Yeah, I'll go next. My name's Alan Hodges. I'm the chair of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Continuum of Care, and I work. My full-time job is working at Zach Smith Reynolds Foundation. I'm the accountant there, so that kind of covers me.
I'll go next, although I've kind of said who I am. My name is Vernetta Devane. I am the Community Assistant Liaison for the South and Northwest Ward. I work helping citizens get problems resolved, issues resolved, and it's always good to know more about services and programs that are working towards helping our unhoused, because I get lots of questions about how to help them or what's going on and what's in about this topic all the time.
Yeah, and Vernetta's a heck of a math teacher too. So
thank you, Alan.
Very good. Anyone else want to say hello? I know a number of folks have put their names in the chat.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm Renee Wisely, and I'm the community member at large. And I also work at Second Harvest Food Bank and do resident engagement there, and do part-time work at the emergency overflow shelter. And Ms. Joyner, I didn't get to vote for you because you're not in my ward. However, I'm thankful for your leadership.
Thank you. Welcome, Renee. I see Cynthia Dodson and Mindy France and Karen and Gennaro from the United Way. So welcome, everyone. I think, Alan, I'm happy to lead if that's all right with you. Lead the meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay, great. I think what we have heard from a number of the commissioners on this group, on this commission. And I see Kirby. Hey, Kirby, how are you from the county? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. We've heard that a number of people are very interested in advocacy efforts and opportunities. And that's something that's come up in a number of different venues, like what can we do as commissioners or what can we do as residents to support affordable housing in our town, support our homeless neighbors. So I wanted to take this opportunity to have an information sharing session to talk about some of those options. And as I mentioned, I think Sharika with city services, with neighborhood services with the city is not part of the meeting. Her role is not advocacy. That's not an appropriate role for her position. But this group is not a city funded group. Like this is a neighborhood group of residents and has people appointed by the city and by the county and community representatives. So this is a great opportunity, I think, for us to talk about what are some opportunities that we can think of to support our homeless neighbors and to support homelessness response and positive services in our community to help people move into safe housing, help people move to whatever is a comfortable situation for them in a way that helps support all the needs of all the different agendas of people in our community who are trying to see folks get housed and have a more safe environment for them and for everyone in the community. So what I would love to do, if it's all right with you, today is really kind of have popcorn where anybody can share an idea that they have, and we can talk about some strategies. And you also may know of things, I'm sure you know of things going on in our town that the others, including me, don't even know about. There's a lot of great connections on this group. People have deep connections with the business community, with developers, lots of different kinds of folks who are represented on this commission. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to think about how do we leverage each other's connections and skill sets so that we can try to make positive change, contribute to positive change in our community. So is there anybody who wants to start, who has a burning question, who has a resource you want to share, something you want to let the group know about? Where do we start? Just take yourself off of mute, please, and feel free to jump in.
So I'll jump in real quick. Two things that I'm aware of that are happening for our community members who are unhoused is one, the Festival for the Homeless is the first Saturday in September every year. This on the 6th was their 10th anniversary. So one, donating to Life Winston-Salem for that event. They also have a Christmas event coming up that's likely going to be December the 19th. So donating money, clothes, time, food, anything comes in handy for that situation. And then the emergency overflow shelters start. I'm thinking it's going to start December 1st as usual, but I don't know because some of the details for the men's shelter is still being worked out. But the women's shelter definitely is going to start December 1st, and it's held at St. Tim's Episcopal Church. They will soon have volunteer signups and also meal signups because they feed the women every night. And usually community members donate food for up to 30 people and help serve the meals. So if you are a church group or some kind of group wants to go and do that, that's something that we always look forward to. And there's a sign-up sheet for St. Tim's so that you don't show up and there's already somebody there or whatever. And they also take donations of pajamas and winter clothes, particularly coats, but also hats, gloves, scarves, and sweaters and sweatshirts. And that's all I got so far.
Great, thank you, Renee. So
can I ask a question? I'm sorry, Renee. What's the times of that, especially the one starting December 1 at St. Tim's?
So we generally do check-in at 6 o'clock, and the women have to come from downtown and go to St. Tim's. Dinner starts at about 6:30, and we ask volunteers to be willing to stay till about 7:45, 8 o'clock. That's just to make sure we get everybody served. If you're doing a meal, but if you're volunteering to help the women get checked in and laundry, St. Tim's is actually hosting the women's shelter on their own. And like I said, with the men's, I don't know what the arrangement is yet because those details haven't been shared with me, but that you're right, Janaria, the temperature does refer to white flag, but we've been able to bypass having just white flag for at least for last year we did. So I don't know how the men's will be set up yet, but I'll share with Sharika so she can share it out as soon as we do know.
Great, thank you.
So if there's anybody, maybe Karen or someone else, if there's anyone who knows and can give a quick overview for the members on the call who don't know, and can someone turn on record? Someone's asking to record the meeting. To give an overview of what are the overnight shelters, what's available already for folks who are not, what's emergency, what's not emergency. So Karen at United Way, can you give us an overview of that?
Hi, I'm on Janera's computer because we've upgraded our security and mine was not cooperating. I was like, what's happening? I can't get Zoom. Anyway, apologies about being misnamed. So it's good news that the women's shelter is coming together. I met with Emily Harkins about the family shelter and other things yesterday. There are a lot of moving parts that are still up in the air funding wise. White flag refers to the temperature shelters. So when you hear people in our sector talking about white flag, it's that the temperature has dropped below a certain point and lives are impacted, and we're just getting people into a building to be sheltered. The family shelter is something that we're working on still.
I can speak to it, Karen.
Thank you, Sharika.
Thank you. So,
Hey, Sharika.
hi, I'm jumping up. Sorry, guys, I'm in a HUD meeting at the same time. Which is about family shelter and housing.
Of course, there we go.
So our winter shelter, the white flag shelter is 32 degrees, 34 degrees or below, 32 degrees with precipitation, chance of precipitation. We are not looking at doing a white flag this year. We are looking at doing an overflow shelter. The difference between the two is the overflow is open every night. The white flag is only open during the temperature changes. For the families will continue to stay with St. Timothy as they have done over the past few years. For the single men and women, we are working with Pastor Emily. They will be taking on the operations support of that. We are in contact with 2 different locations. Next Wednesday, we are having both locations permitted, inspected to be permitted to see which one is most feasible and which one we can actually work with. Those 2 locations also have to go towards our City Council, County Commissioners as well, because one of them is a county building. For the families, we are taking the same approach that we took the last 2 years, and that is utilizing, we have 2 options right now. One is the location in this location right now, there's a lot of tension from neighbors. We're hoping that they will allow the families to stay, as that was originally what we were going to use that location for, which was overflow, but we're hoping with the population change, they will be more open. If not, we are going back to motel, which is a lot more costly. So we're hoping we don't have to. Motels is usually used only in extreme circumstances. So if someone's found in the middle of the night, if all of the other locations are full. We're also trying to work with our local family shelter, who has a wing that is still available. Seeing if Katie Bryant is who does, with Augsburg, is who does the family shelter. So seeing if Katie's volunteers, instead of having to do the motels, if they take on the volunteer work at Salvation Army, if we're able to utilize that space instead. So there is a lot moving. The winter shelter starts November 1st. It started a little later last year because we were still piecing things together, as every year location has been an issue. So we started a little earlier this year. So we're hoping to have that November 1st date ready, be ready to open, rock and roll. This year, we are moving our CES staff in-house. So our city CES staff will work at the winter shelter program this year, as well as our street outreach staff, to assist more with the case management and supportive services, which hasn't been offered in the past years. That way they'll have housing support, financial assistance, all of that right there when they wake up and before they go to sleep. So that will all be in that one location as well.
One of the challenges we're looking at is the EFSP funding, the FEMA money that has traditionally gone to support some of the food has not landed in our sector. And there is potential that it could, but there are a lot of moving parts, like Sharika talked about, a lot of moving parts with, we're not certain about what's coming down for some, particularly for food, for that particular stream with the FEMA money. We have no control over that. And I think it would be wise for our community to take a look at that as we go into winter shelter to figure out some creative strategies to meet the food needs of our families and community members that we're going to have in shelter over the winter. Just in case. I mean, it's not a no, but it isn't a yes yet, and it's already mid-September. So
yes, and I'll invite Pastor Emily to talk, as that is one of the issues that we discuss. We have a winter shelter meeting every week, so we myself and Pastor Emily and Katie met today. But one of those questions was around food. Food costs have gone up, and the number of people they're serving throughout the week at the local just where they feed people has gone up, and they have expended their budget, and there is no funding right now. They're kind of just doing donations right now. So the idea of, if we use a motel, how are we going to do and obtain emergency food boxes? Who's going to hand those boxes out? Also, if we were to pay Samaritan, who's going to deliver the food from the location to another location? So right now, we found the locations, we found the operations. Now that next support is around food and supportive services, showers, things of that nature is kind of where we're focused on. And then supplies such as hygiene. And we were able to get 4 churches to do 100 blankets each. So we were able to get the blankets, but now it's just the food situation with a high cost of food right now. Figuring that piece out is kind of where we started. That is our next goal as of this morning.
But I do think in this group, since we're talking about advocacy and ways that this group might be able to assist with the work, food might be a good place to land some of the work.
Perfect, thank you. I was at City Council this past week, and I know there were many people who came to speak on behalf of our homeless neighbors, and also some folks from local neighborhood associations who were not comfortable with some homeless residents being around their homes and perceive that there's increased crime risk. So that was a very interesting conversation, I think, and it's an interesting opportunity, I also believe, for this group to think about paying attention to potential city or county ordinances. I know in Greensboro and some other cities, there are ordinances being considered, or some places have passed, so that, if you're sleeping on a park bench, we were going to ticket you and have you move. It's an interesting moment, I think, that housing is very expensive for many, many, many people. And people are living in tents, people are living wherever they can live. And on the one hand, we certainly want people not to live in tents. We would like folk to have a safe place to live. And then I also wonder, where you're going to go. If we clean out's not even the right word. If we disperse people from encampments, I don't personally think a lot of people are living in tents just because they enjoy it in the city. Like, I love to sleep in a tent when I go camping. I don't live in a tent on purpose. So it's interesting. And from my vantage point with my work with Family Services, running the largest domestic violence shelter in town, there's a lot of people who come to us. Everyone who comes to us is fleeing a harm doer. you may have a home, you may have a mortgage, you might have your name on an apartment lease, but someone at home is causing harm to you, to your children, and you just got to get out of there. So those are the people that we serve. And at the same time, we sometimes see people go back to an abusive partner because they cannot afford to live on their own. If you have money and you can get your own apartment, you do. You don't come to our shelter if you can get your own apartment. But we do sometimes see survivors go back to the abuser because it's just unaffordable. And we are thrilled to participate with the city and the continuum of care. Family Services participates in the rapid rehousing program. So we can help people go from our emergency domestic violence shelter into an apartment. And thank you all for paying taxes, because then we can use that program, that's a federal program, to help cover the rent, help cover the utilities, cover some services for 6 months, 9 months while they get back on their feet, or we help them get into Forsyth Tech so they can learn a skill that pays enough that hopefully they can get a job. But what also was mentioned as an interesting piece, I thought, in city council meeting was someone brought up the Bethesda Day Center. Bethesda Homeless Shelter used to have a day center service where people, unhoused neighborhood residents, could go there during the day. And that has closed down for, I think, a while because of funding issues there and not having enough staff to run the day center. So many people who used to go to the day center are now just on the street in downtown Winston-Salem. So many more neighbors on the street are more visible than maybe they were a year ago, which is all interesting and complex pieces of the puzzle. So is there anyone else who has a resource you want to share or wants to share about another community conversation or a collaborative group? Anyone who's trying to work on affordable housing? Any other efforts going on anybody wants to share about? Connect into with the business community or anybody else? Karen, I see you nodding your head.
I did. I was gonna let other people talk for a minute. There is a monthly group called Housing Hangouts through, I think it's Innovative Research Insights. I can drop that stuff in the chat. And it's just a monthly gathering of people who are interested in talking about housing. And it's everybody from shelter providers to developers, government, city folks are there, but it's not just Winston, it's the triad. So we're learning together, and it's a once a month opportunity. It's free to come. You can just network and meet other people who are doing this work. Particularly if you're interested in getting, it's all around getting a housing or development plan put together for Winston-Salem. And I can put that information in the chat if you'd like.
Thank you. Yes, please do that. I'm sorry, is there anyone else who wants to go? Anyone wants to share anything?
Yes, good afternoon. Let me put this camera on for a second. Hey there.
Hey.
My name is Jose Perez Jr. with Forsyth County Behavioral Health Services, and I'm the County Peer Support Specialist. I work with our unhoused community members and connect them with different resources through our area. One of the first things I also do is chairperson of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Homeless Caucus. We meet every second Monday of each month at 2 p.m. located at the Central Public Library. What we do, we address the needs, the barriers, and concerns of our unhoused community members. And it also serves as another platform to highlight our community agency partners and what they provide for our peoples. So that's every second Monday at 2 p.m. here at the Central Public Library located at 660 West 5th Street, unless that Monday falls on a holiday or a closing. So I invite everybody to come. Our next meeting will be October 13th at 2 p.m. Have a couple agency partners that provide transitional independent living housing components for our men and women, and I invite everybody to come. Also, in the month of November, I don't know if everybody's familiar with, is National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. It's always the week before Thanksgiving. It falls from November 17th to November 24th. It's a national initiative. And I'll be also hosting and facilitating a panel discussion. And I would like to invite members on this commission to either participate or just sit on the panel. I mean, to sit in the audience.
Thank you. I appreciate that information. And if you can email any details to Sharika, she can send them hopefully to all of us later. Thank you. Anybody else? Any items to share? I'll share another one. I got an email yesterday about a Partners Ending Homelessness is creating an inaugural Turning Point Symposium Friday, October 24th in Greensville. I think it's Greensboro, Guilford Technical Community College. I'll put that in the chat. Another regional event to talk about uncovering root causes of homelessness, learning from challenges, highlighting some successes from other communities. I want to say Charlotte is going to be sending someone to speak, and variety of partnerships. I'll share that one. Is anyone participating or able to speak to the, there's an effort that I want to say is funded by the Winston-Salem Foundation that is a community conversation around addressing root causes of homelessness in our community. Does anyone know about that one? I want to say Catherine Northington.
I'm on the planning committee.
You are. Tell us a bit about that.
So the last meeting was at the library. I want to say it was a week and a half ago. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my dates right. Let me just pull it up. The next steps, there were small groups created from that meeting that focuses on various pieces of the housing system. So those groups will continue to meet. Our next planning meeting is at the end of September, where we will bring back all, we would plan to bring back all of these small groups into a large group in November, to basically start the draft of a plan to discuss the lack of affordable housing and how to create and sustain additional affordable housing here locally. So that's kind of a little bit about what Karen, I don't know why when I looked and I seen Janera, I'm like, that's not Janera. What Karen discussed is the housing hangout is a subgroup of the planning team that we have.
Are you talking about the Humane Housing Network?
Yes, Forsyth County Humane Housing
Yes.
Network.
Yeah, I was at that
Everything I
meeting
have
too.
for them is
Yep.
under FCHHN. So I'm like, what is the
I'll put that one in the chat.
acronyms for everything? But yes, so the next meeting will be in November.
So that's another collaborative I put in the chat that's open to the public. And that one I think has a number of business leaders involved, some developers involved. And so all of these are, I think every conversation is a wonderful conversation because everybody has, people they know and whatever lane or group you may be involved in. You might be on the community development side. You might be on the financing side. You might be on the church or faith group response side, and all of it is needed. All of it is needed. So anywhere that people can plug in. I think another important community initiative going on is Thriving Together. I don't know if any, show of hands, you all familiar with Thriving Together? Anybody familiar? Thriving Together is a nationwide effort to address what I think they call are the vital conditions. Like how do we as a community thrive together so no one is left behind, no exceptions? And so they've identified many, many things that are essential to have a thriving community. And one of them, of course, is safety and housing. So our Winston-Salem and Forsyth County now have a Thriving Together chapter. that has been meeting, and it also has subcommittees. So there are lots of opportunities, to be involved. I'll put that one in the chat as well.
That's the monthly housing hangouts as part of the Thriving Together network.
Yes, it's
Oh,
all
okay,
it's
perfect.
all one network with multiple meetings.
Yes. Yes. Thank
So,
goodness. Because that's
it's like 3 meetings a week if you go to everything. It's quite
Right.
hefty.
So there,
Stephen Seals is who I reached out to. So that's who we're asking to come to this group to discuss more in November. That was kind of a task that we talked about a week ago. But Stephen Seals and Catherine kind of leads, and Eshna kind of leads those 3 groups, and that's who we're requesting to come probably in November, just to talk about everything they have going on, how we can be involved, and also kind of give an overview of the data hall he presented, where he took all of the cases that have been done by the city of Winston-Salem and local organizations around affordable housing and a lack of affordable housing. And he went through each report and kind of went over, okay, where is the report as of today? What work has been done? Was it effective? And he kind of comprised the whole presentation and report from all of the housing studies that have been done over the last few years. 10 years, I want to say, was it 10 years he did? But
Yeah.
so just having him come, share what he's found, and then also share all of the work groups that they have from the Forsyth County Housing Network work group. So he'll be in November.
He was
I'll
at the
send him an
Humane.
email, but I'm gonna push Karen to text him as well, so he'll have both of us in his ear. And
He was at the Humane Housing Network with that Catherine was facilitating. He was they're in each other's spheres, through the Humane Housing and Thriving Together are, I think, very closely working
Yes.
together. If there's another group we need to loop into that, we absolutely can do that. But
I think another opportunity, I was impressed at the city council meeting this past week when there's public comment period, for many people to come and just share their concerns and ideas, but also support. I think that's really helpful. I hope, city council member Joyner, I hope it's helpful to hear from residents in public comment about who cares about this issue? What are the positives? What are the challenging points? How can we work together to support each other in our community? So I, for example, would love to see that at county commission meetings, any different kind of public meeting where our elected officials are the ones who are making decisions about uses of dollars and ordinances, local laws. It's always good to have, hopefully, public input that's positive in a way that addresses challenges and gives an opportunity for how to support positive change.
It is always encouraging to hear from citizens talking about how they can help, identifying the need. Everyone needs to be clear about what the need is. And sometimes when you're, if it's not in your face on a daily basis, the need feels different than those that are closer to ground zero, if you would. I think it's important, there's so many different agencies, groupings, and churches even that are doing good work. And it would be great if there was a compiled list that if you need this piece of service, 1, 2, or 3 might be able to help you with that. If you need this piece of service, 4, 5, or 6 may be able to help you. No guarantees, but there's at least some real direction, and that all of these different places can actually touch the people they need to touch, because everyone who touches that person can send them in the same direction, and it's not sending them in a loop. Well, they told me to go there, but I really need to go here, but you really need to go there. And so this is the start of something very useful. The comments at council meeting, that is helping recognize what the need is. And I will say that as a city resident, the first thing you think of when you see something on a city street or in your neighborhood that needs to be done, you go to us, the city. But everybody in this electronic room realizes that a lot of that you need to go to the county, and trying to bring more county into this grouping and getting the work done and having the ear of county commissioners, and the majority of them that have the vote do the work. You know, the folks that do the work might not have the vote, but the folks that have the vote might not. But everyone understands exactly what I didn't say. So if we could do that, you know, because we all have to work together. We all might have a separate piece of the puzzle, but if we don't recognize what the puzzle's supposed to look like in a finished piece, what's the use? Why the effort? You know, we're just spinning our wheels, and we're not the ones. No one on this call is the immediate that will suffer, but our hearts will break and our spirits will be declined because of it. So we need to invite some more people in. I mean, I sit here not to give information. I sit here to get information and then to figure out how, in my small world, I could be of service to a larger piece. And I just invite you to continue to invite other people, and then insist that they do. And my last thing, I'm going to have to get off in just a few minutes, but my last thing is, you know, virtual is great, but it's nothing better than being in person with people. And I just, I think Alan, the last time I was on, he asked, when are we going to be in person? And the answer was, I think if this is important enough to stop and talk about, this is important enough to show up. Because if we're not showing up, why would we expect dollars to show up behind us? And I get it. I mean, my schedule is busy. Everybody's schedule gets busy sometimes, but and you can't stay for the whole time, and that's okay. But that person to person, it helps. It helps me. And that's my soapbox, and I'm getting off of it right now.
I think we can certainly figure that out where we meet in person occasionally, like some groups do online 1 month, in person 1 month. I know because this is a public commission, it has to be broadcast to the public, and I think like the TV station is here, for example, but we can figure that out for other public, that happens for other public meetings as well.
Yeah, we
So-
we just have to do a vote again, Jay. The last commission voted to stay strictly online, but we have a totally new commission.
Oh,
So we
okay.
just have to do another vote. That was the last group.
Okay,
I know the like for COC Council, they voted to go back in person. So that's why we're back in person. So we can do that same vote here.
okay. Well, maybe we could do that like before the next meeting.
Yeah, we can do a email. I'll have Laura create the little survey
poll
that she
and we can
created
see.
for us for the other group.
And I think, Kirby, you're a representative with county government, correct?
I would assume so, yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you. And can you tell the group what your position is, please?
Sure. I'm the Community and Economic Development Director for the county. So we are a sub-recipient of home and TDBG funds for the city. So Sharika's in charge. So when folks ask me what I do, I say Sharika's in charge. That's a joke. She may be on for other people, but
I just said her shot, Kirby. That's all.
oh yeah. Most of our programs that we do here revolve around home ownership and housing rehabilitation.
Okay,
But I will tell you that our board identified affordable home ownership as a priority in the fiscal 26 budget. And we'll actually be doing a department update for them next Thursday, where we talk through some of our financial resources that are or not available to help support sort of that cost. So just kind of a heads up on the council.
Okay, so that, for example, and someone else put in a chat, Karen, is there public comment time at county commissioner meetings also? I think there is in certain meetings.
Sure. There are at the meeting times, most of those are at 2 p.m., but you still can call in. And then the board is doing one 6 p.m. meeting a quarter. I think it is a complex schedule to figure out. Most of the time our briefings are Mondays at 2 p.m. And then the meetings are Thursday at 2 p.m.
Okay.
So there, and I think it's a lot like the city. You can have your 3 minutes at each meeting to get up to speed.
Right. And I'm sorry to keep putting you on the hot seat, Kirby. That's not what I'm trying to do.
That's
Just
fine.
asking questions. So you mentioned you're giving a presentation coming up. Is that at a meeting that's open to the public?
It is. It's a morning session. The board does one morning discussion session each quarter, I believe. It's where they dig into things with a lot more detail. So next Thursday at 10 a.m., I'll be running through really, it's a department update. So there'll be a lot of information there that folks may or may not be interested in. I mean, we'll be running through our economic development efforts, our code enforcement efforts, but a big chunk of that will be on community development. And we'll talk about housing rehabilitation. We'll talk about down payment assistance and home ownership. And then I think what that will naturally move into is, are you as a board, is this where you want to be? Do you want to expand your scope? Statutorily, we don't have some of the same ability that the city does. But there are some other things that we can do, and we've built up some funds over the years that we can use. And what do you want to do with that? And so that's kind of what we'll be doing next Thursday.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think there's great opportunity for city council meetings and county commission meetings for some of the non-city staff, non-county staff folk to help organize, some of our faith partners, plenty of folk to help organize and say, hey, anyone who's interested in this topic, if you can show up at this meeting on this date, even if you don't speak, just to say, hey, I'm here in support of our homeless neighbors, or I am one of the homeless neighbors, or I have been, I'm raising my hand, like one of the neighbors at risk of homelessness, almost on the street. So people can know who it is we're talking about. A lot of times I think many folk think, oh, that's other people. It's not other people, it's us. Absolutely. Someone is saying if there's public comment time, please write it in the chat and we can keep up with that and see. I think one of the advocacy things someone may have mentioned in a previous meeting is for somebody to alert the group if something shows up on an agenda for the city or the county that is any kind of ordinance or decision that might be impacting our neighbors who are on the street or at risk of homelessness, so that those in the faith community, those who have those networks they might like to invite folk to come, know when to show up.
Sure.
I know.
I apologize. I'm pasting in the meeting schedule for the board of commissioners there. So anytime you see meeting, there's public comment. And I'll just be clear, what we're doing next Thursday is a public meeting, but is not open to public comment. So I just want to be clear about that. You can always watch these things after the fact and then come make public comment if you want. I just want to be clear about what we're doing next week.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. I know just in my lane, I'm on a whole bunch of these different advocacy email lists and hear about things that are coming up. And I know this past summer, there was a huge initiative all over the country to encourage cities and counties to pass ordinances that basically said, all your homeless people have to move here and you're gonna put them all in a parking lot. And that was really interesting, just kind of dig into that and see who was behind that and what was some of their agenda. But it's just interesting to note, there's all kinds of stuff coming down all the time and it's hard to keep up.
Jay, I'll just note the last NOFA did have those requirements in it. So we were not able to apply for the last NOFA builds application because those requirements are in the NOFA. So we're hoping that our annual NOFA where we receive like 90% of our COC funds does not have those same restrictions. But the last COC NOFA bills application that we were hoping to get money for permanent supportive housing, that
Right.
was attached to that requirement.
I did see that. Like so it's interesting, you know, when the city applies or when individual agencies apply or developers apply, you know, for funds for different kinds of incentives or development projects, or that one, I remember, Sharika, that was permanent supportive housing, like for people who have disabilities. Yeah, you had to agree, we're going to do XYZ if we're going to apply for this money. And it was not appropriate for our community. So we didn't apply.
I think something like that is interesting for our county and city folks to be aware of. So what I see is, and what I hear you saying, Jay, is if something pops onto your agendas, to let our network know we have a much larger network than this, and we can have people populate those meetings to speak on those topics and support, and vice versa. Like when something like that lands in our contracts, because that's where it's landing, we can alert you guys to it, because that's not necessarily something you're privy to, and that way there's this two-way communication between the arms of the work, because it's all very complicated. But if we could communicate back and forth about what we're doing, and when we're running into challenges, that'd be great. It'd be helpful.
So would that be for the city and county folk, for example, would that be helpful for you all, for like those of us who may be getting different channels of information, to share that with you? So, you know, like you just know what's coming up. What are some of the things we're facing?
Sure. I mean, for me, we have a staff that's sort of housing focused, that if there are ways for them to plug in and to get those things, and we're at a lot of the things I think you all are mentioning already. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to kind of keep pulse. So when we do these updates for the board, we can say, here's kind of what we're seeing and hearing. Ultimately, from a county perspective, it's up to the board to develop policy. Our job is to implement policy. But yeah, I'm happy in those two ways. So I'll hear from you all, and if we see things on the agenda we think you'll be interested in, definitely we'll send you.
Great, thank you. I think we have a couple folks on the call who are in the mental health realm, mental health services realm. If any of those folks are interested to share, would love to hear from you. Any successes you're seeing recently, any challenges you're facing recently with serving our community, and particularly serving low-income populations or homeless neighbors? I know at Family Services, we are preparing for the Medicaid cuts that are coming. Our state is rolling out Medicaid cuts starting October 1. And one of the first things they're cutting are the payments to providers. So at Family Services, our counseling practice specializes in children and specializes in trauma and specializes in low-income people. So we have over 400 clients, unduplicated clients a year, and over 4,000 kept sessions a year in our counseling practice, and 70% is Medicaid. So the Medicaid cuts will hit us hard, very much so, because we essentially lose money every time a client walks in the door, because what we can bill doesn't cover the cost of providing the service. Like other mental health providers who serve mostly low-income community members. So we are paying close attention to Medicaid, but I wonder if others might have information to share about mental health resources. I know, is it the Andy Hagler's group, Forsyth County Mental Health Association, is wonderful. I certainly recommend them. They often have free counseling available. I want to say up to 10 sessions for uninsured community members. That's a tremendous resource. We recommend folks go to them as well. Anyone else want to share mental health resources? Okay, any other recommendations or questions or resources anyone wants to share? I really appreciate the conversation today. I hope it's helpful.
I have to jump off. But Lori, can you call me when you get a moment?
Who is that, Sharika? Who are you calling?
Lori.
Lori, okay.
Yes, I will.
Thanks.
All right, bye.